Bry.
Hello.
A long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. I just got back from traveling across the country on a trip. I actually drove from North Carolina to L.A. That was a long trip.
Yeah, and how 26-foot truck?
No, it was a small little truck. Thank God. It was a 16-foot truck. I actually had to take a southern route because there was a storm, that winter storm last week. So I left a little bit early and I just drove all the way through. And then I got into Texas. And oh my God, Texas is like 900 miles long from end to end. It's insane. And because I took the southern route, I was able to stop and see my son in Phoenix because he's out in Phoenix. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the future's here. Most of the country, doesn't have this, but it's coming. It's coming.
You talking about the taxis?
Oh yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
And I haven't experienced it, but the whole concept doesn't seem nuts. But maybe when you see it, like, tell me.
Okay, I drive for a living. I drive myself everywhere. Most vacations on the East Coast, I drive, a day or two to drive somewhere to go is no big deal to me. So I went to go see my son. He moved there 6 months ago, less than 6 months ago. He didn't bring his car because he's not sure if he's staying. So he had no way to get around. We decided to go to dinner. I looked up on Uber. How much was the Uber? The Uber was cheap. It was a weekday.
Yeah.
It was like $10.
$10, right.
Okay.
$10 ride for what, like a 10-minute ride?
That's 10 minutes,
that's
7
pretty
minutes,
cheap.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was cheap.
Right.
It was a time when it wasn't an expensive rate. And then I remember my son saying, hey, we got this thing here called Waymo. Now, I saw these cars because I was already there for a few hours. I went back to the hotel. He came with me. I got changed. I dropped off my bags. And I'm not driving the truck to downtown. He's by Arizona State University, the Sun Devils. There's no place to park there. It's really tight. It's a college area. It's kind of like downtown Wilmington. I'm not taking a 16-foot truck and parking downtown. First of all, I can't get parking. Second of all, it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, we're going to take an Uber from the hotel. I see these things driving all over when I was going to park. And I thought it was, this is me, I thought it was Google Earth, or like, when you look at Google and they're taking pictures of all the houses.
Oh, so they have like something big on the roof?
They have big on everything. They have a big thing. They have scanners. They have lights, and they're driving. And I'm thinking, oh, they're just recording themselves driving around. Somebody's being paid to do this.
No.
And I forgot. No, this is Waymo. This is the driverless cars.
Right. So I didn't realize that there was these, which makes sense because you want to have like the best of the best sensors on this thing.
Yes.
To see everything. It's got to have the visual cues. Everything's got to be recorded or whatever it is, right? So that's a whole other thing too. Like everything the database needed just for this too, just to hold on to all that information.
Right. The infrastructure that they have to put in place to do this. Apparently it's been in Phoenix, Tempe area for going on 8 years now.
That's a long ass time for that to be happening and it not even to be like, we should have a few of them here. Why haven't this been tested?
So think about it, right? 8 years it's been there. And my son said something perfect. He said, if these things were dangerous and you heard about accidents, they would be all over the news. Driverless car,
of course.
Hit somebody. It's a college town. College kids jump out in front of cars all the time. You hear about, partying and whatever. No. I don't know what the incident rate is, but it can't be much if you're not hearing about anything. My son says, I don't hear about anything.
Right.
These things are insane. They're electric EV Jaguars. They're nice cars.
Yeah, that's what you said.
And they're run by Alphabet, which is Google. But you got to put in the infrastructure first. So they've been around for 8 years in Phoenix, Tempe.
And what other places? Where do you know? Where didn't you say there's 3 or 4 places?
It's 3 places, and I didn't even know because I was in L.A. That's where I drove from North Carolina to
I don't remember seeing them in L.A.
I didn't see one in L.A.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're in L.A. They're in San Francisco, and I was in San Francisco 2 years ago. I didn't see them. And Phoenix, I saw them everywhere. But here's the thing: it has its own app. You go and you order a Waymo, and it was $8.
Right.
Now, $8 as opposed to 10. Okay, driverless car, no employee, no nothing. No tip.
No tip.
No anything.
That right there makes it significantly.
I give $8 as a tip on a $10 ride. I give too much, but that's just because
you do. I think $5 is a plenty good tip for a $10 fare.
It is, but I just I give it because I know you're working hard, and I know especially Uber, they take a lot of money. Uber takes like I don't know, 60 to 70%.
Uber's
These guys
a
are
freaking
making
scam.
whatever.
They're all freaking scams.
But here's the other thing. The reason why I know that much is because every time I get an Uber, the guy tells me how much money he's not making.
Right.
He's just like, oh, man, Uber takes everything, and I got to work for 12 hours. Because that happened right after that. I couldn't get a Waymo in L.A. because I didn't download the app. My son had it. And I got an Uber to the airport, and I'm like, oh, hey. The first thing I said was, hey, so, you've been on a while. Is it busy today? He goes, I don't like to answer that question. I'm just interacting with the driver because actually I am a chatty caveman. I talk all the time. I don't know how to shut up, so I just try to be nice.
Yeah.
And the guy's telling me I don't like to answer that question because then you think it's busy and then you're not going to give me a tip because I'm making a lot of money. I went, no, man. I was just, it's like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, he's got his own shit going on.
So I was like, all right. So there we go. I want more Waymo. These things were cool. So I actually recorded the drive, but it's just freaky. I'm in the back seat. You could actually sit in the front seat. And you're looking over, and the wheel is steering by itself.
So this whole podcast is going to be like that footage, right? Just on a loop.
Oh, I'm gonna put it. Yeah, I got like a 7-minute drive to the dinner.
Yeah,
and then I got picked up, so I'm gonna put it on there.
It's scary because it's going to take away so many people's jobs.
It is.
And when it comes down to it, like also, it's going to be what's going to be delivering food as well because they're going to change how they do that. They're just going to have the people bring it out to the car.
Yep.
And then on the drop-offs is going to be a very simple. This is where it is. It'll like literally just put it out the door with an address, take a picture, leave.
Well, I know your son was in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he says, I hate Waymo. And I'm like, okay, why? Because he does what, DoorDash and Uber Eats and that stuff.
Yeah.
So he does a little bit of that stuff because everybody young is trying to make extra money doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're going to hate it because they're like, okay, they're going to take my job. But they're all over the place. Look, the first thing I thought of was Total Recall, the old movie where the guy, you just get picked up at the airport and you drive. Yes, this is it. But there's nobody there. It's not like the fake little howdy doody mannequin in the front seat or whatever.
Wouldn't that be weirder?
Yeah,
like to me, that'd be worse.
I know. There's nothing. It's just like a ghost driving. You're watching the steering wheel turn. You're watching the signals go on. You're watching it slow down. And there's a little screen in between the two seats in the back and a screen in the front that shows you the cars in each direction. It shows you people walking dogs. It shows you skateboarders and people walking across everything is there. It's sensing everything around you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we actually got stopped. Okay, I'm gonna put the footage on the podcast. We actually got stopped by a bus. There was construction in a lane with cones, and there was a bus that pulled over to pick up people. And I'm like, oh shit, are we gonna get into an accident here? Because this is weird. So the car tried to go around the bus, but couldn't fit and got stopped by the cone and had to stop there and wait for the bus to leave. And I'm like, but nobody could get by. A regular car wouldn't be able to go through the cones anyway. Right. So it sensed the cones, even though the construction was temporary and just put there because there was a problem.
Of course, that's got to be taking pictures of all this.
And sensed the bus that was waiting and said, okay, and there was no panic by the car or whatever. And it was a smooth ride. And it wasn't like, I expected to be like slow, like somebody driving me in a golf cart. No, acceleration to the max speed limit, pull into the parking lot. It beeps and makes a little chime and says, okay, time to exit, and you got out.
I'm surprised it doesn't, so you don't like talk to it like you would fully.
You have an assistant that you could press a button and talk to an assistant.
Okay.
A human being, I guess, that can talk, whatever.
Oh, really?
That if there's trouble.
I just assumed it would be like an advanced Alexa. You could just ask
it might
questions.
Be. We didn't have to. I was laughing. I recorded this thing, and I was just like, look. I'm an old school guy. I'm a driver. I'm not pissed at this at all. I love this. I thought it was amazing. I don't have to do anything. I can. Right. This was a great experience. My son was like, I'm surprised you want to take one. I'm like, why not? Who cares?
Right.
But apparently next year they're coming in 3 more cities. I think right now it's San Francisco, LA, and Phoenix, and they've been there for a while. I think they already mapped out Miami, Austin, and one other place. And then the year after that, I think they're trying for 10 more cities. And it may be New York. Can you imagine New York?
Oh, I tell you, how many people are going to be out of that when it comes down to, I mean, it's such a big part of their, I don't know, I mean, I'm just thinking about jobs.
I know. Well, jobs right now. Everybody's thinking about jobs, what's going on.
Right. And then this, I mean, and then you talk about this is it's a drop in the bucket, but it's a pretty big drop.
But this took, we could talk about that all you want, but I mean, Uber and Uber Eats and all the other food service companies, they took jobs away from everybody, and everybody just got, I'm staying home. We don't care. I'm not even going out anymore. Everybody works from home. They want to work from home more. This is what it is. But I just can't get over the Waymo. It was cool. They were nice cars, smooth, electric, quiet. You get to choose what kind of music you want to play, what kind of everything. It was just a very cool deal. And every time I passed by one, I couldn't believe how many there were. I just go, oh, Waymo, that's cool. But traveling across the country, there's one thing that I did notice. Look, I grew up in the Northeast. I'm here now in Wilmington, North Carolina. The entire East Coast is basically the same, okay? Other than the big cities, geographically, it feels very similar. I can't really tell Wilmington from New York as far as like Long Island, Connecticut. People, yes. But geographically, strip malls, stores, all the way from the Jersey Shore all the way down to Florida. Not that much different. But when you travel across this country, it is different. It is different. There's not a lot of cities. I never really...
Like the in-betweens is what you're talking about. The in-between areas are very like... I don't know. You were trying to describe it to me when you were gone. Like
yes.
You get off and off ramp. All right, go ahead.
I found a way to describe it to you. All these games that you play on Neebs, these survival games and this other stuff, it's like that. There's nothing out there. It's like, I haven't played a lot of these games. I know you do, but I'm just saying the scenery is kind of like, it could be from Dusk Till Dawn in Mexico. It could be from like, that's what it is. Like Texas and Alabama, New Mexico, Arizona. Also, there's mountains everywhere. I didn't realize how many mountains there are in California. You can go and ski in the morning early, and then you can go to the beach in the afternoon. If you don't hit the 17 hours of traffic in LA,
right.
But it's not that far. I was in Upland, California, and I'm looking, and there's snow caps on these mountains, and I'm looking up at these mountains, and 46 miles away is LAX. It's like 46 to 50 miles away is LAX. And I'm going, yeah, this is a huge difference geographically. I never put it together, really
how close they are.
How close it is in these other areas. But then Phoenix and Tempe, there's like mountains sticking up next to the buildings. And it's like, okay, like in between the city and an area. I'm always thinking it's flat and it's level ground and there's mountain ranges, and there's not. So traveling this country is wild because I've been all over.
Yeah,
I've been all over, and I always expected it to be the Pacific Northwest, like when I went through Idaho before, and Oregon and Seattle. Yes, coming over the mountains and the giant trees. I didn't expect it down in western Texas to see mountain ranges. Like in going through New Mexico to see not that far mountain ranges because it's dry and arid. And then look at this. This is interesting structures. That was crazy. But I'll tell you what, this country is vast and huge. I think 90% of it is probably empty, and just maybe 10% of it is where the big cities are, and then the coast is obviously busy because everybody wants beachfront property. But if it's not by the rivers and the coast, there's a lot of empty land out there everywhere, and everybody's got something going on. I mean, there was smog and there was fog, but the weather, the wind, I'm driving through and they say, today gusty wind advisory flashing, and I'm like, what? Trying to blow the truck off the road. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Everybody's got something. I know I said it a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. I'm good with the East Coast because I'm kind of spoiled on it. I'll deal with the hurricanes every once in a while, but I'm used to it. But other people aren't used to that stuff. I don't know where I would go. I think I'm going to stay on the East Coast just to be safe.
Yeah, I know that I certainly wouldn't want to go to California, anywhere that is known for having, at least in California, that's known for being, because fires there, drought, like and earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to keep me away from that whole side.
I move people all over the place. I brought these people their stuff and like, okay, everything needs earthquake straps. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that's what you got to deal with over here. I forgot about that. Yeah. Like, so you got to put in temporary. We got to have these earthquake clips put on. And
for
I'm like,
what
okay.
now?
For furniture, for anything that you deliver. So it was like, hutches and tall shelving that I brought over. And they're like, oh, you got to hook that up. And I'm like, okay, well, here's your China. Well, we can't put it up until we get somebody to come in and put the stuff up. It's just a different world that I'm not used to. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, like Tornado Alley, like I don't understand anybody who's there. Like, why didn't we just a very long time ago just evacuate this whole
because
area?
The East Coast that's where we came first. The East Coast got congested.
Yeah.
And they said, I want to get the hell out of these big cities because it's too crowded. And they just kept going. And it's amazing how when you drive through the country, you realize they just kept going where the lowest area was in between these mountains. So you could see the paths that they took. You're like, this took forever to get there. I mean, 900 miles across Texas. It took me 2.5 days to get across Texas. I was like, when is this going to end? Ugh. And then what did I get to? I got to New Mexico and went, oh my God, get me home. I mean, I was gone for like 9 days. It was enough is enough. I like traveling. Don't get me wrong. And the drive wasn't that bad. I made it to Texas in 2 days. 3 days later, I finally got out of Texas. It was insane. But I got to spend some time in Phoenix with my son, which was nice. And then I got to California. I swear, I tried all the foods. I tried In-N-Out Burger again. Okay, it's In-N-Out Burger. It's not the.
I think it's quite tasty, but it's like,
nothing like whatever.
Well,
I did go to Randy's Donuts. That was fun. The one with the big donut.
Yeah.
Okay, I went to by LAX. Donuts? Yeah, it was okay. I mean, look, it's a tourist stop. You know, it's in the movies and whatever.
Yeah,
it's
just
okay.
Curious if it was worthy.
Yeah,
No?
I'll take Britt's Donuts down to Carolina Beach any day of the week over all of them. That's it.
Yeah.
When they're open, I'll take them. But it was good. And I went to a lot of like street tacos, and I tried all that stuff. That's what I had.
Street tacos, man, they seem like they could be shady. You got to be careful.
Yeah. But I go to the ones that you see on the Food Truck USA and those other ones. And
you're finding ones that are known.
I'm finding ones that have a reputation that they better keep it up. So, yes, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, well, then that's completely
try a
different
little bit
story.
of things.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, coming up next week or the week after, because all the tournaments are coming for the basketball tournaments to get into the NCAA. So all the divisions will be settled, and I have the picks. We're going to start doing a little bit of preview on what we're going to do for the NCAA. We're going to put in a parlay for what teams we think are going to make it to the either Elite Eight or Final Four if we can get good odds on that.
Let's see. All right. I see you with the smile as you should. I'm like, I don't know a damn thing.
But it's all just a guess, man. You're just like, who's hot? Is Houston hot? Is Florida going to come in?
I'm just going to be following
right
your
now?
league completely.
Is Auburn yes or no? Alabama? Is everybody around here is going to be Duke? Everybody's going to it's okay.
I don't really have an opinion on it. That's the thing, which is fine. That's good. Maybe you should be gambling on that, or we can be doing that jointly. But then I could be more doing some other gambling on something that I give a shit about.
We can talk about yes,
because golf, is golf something we can? I've been watching
in a couple of weeks. There's a couple. There was the Mexican Open, and then now there's another tournament that coming to Florida, and then in a few weeks, well, it's next month. I think it's April, is when the Masters is. So we got a few weeks, but there's a warm up to the Masters. We could probably gamble on that and see if we could do a little bit of that.
I'm curious. I mean, without betting, just can we be betting for the top 5? Can we be?
I think you just want to bet on players coming in. We're going to figure out a good gambling strategy where we feel comfortable with it. Okay. So basically players to finish in certain positions or above a certain position in the tournament, which actually sucks because you want a top 3, but actually they're going to be 10th because four players tied in second,
right?
And then you're all of a sudden and 3 players tied in third. So you're not in top 3. You actually got the 4th best score, but you're 11th, and you're like shit. But that can happen. But you know what? We're gonna do it.
We'll see. All right,
we'll see.
Is that it?
That's it.